What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're coming at you with an NFL Week 18 picks and predictions video, the last one here of the season. Coming out with this one a little bit late, but I'm going to be posting it nonetheless. Last week, though, we struggled going 7-9 straight up on the picks. There's a lot of upsets like the Vikings, the Browns, the Dolphins, the Falcons. So I think a lot of people struggled, but nonetheless, our season total is 162, 93, and 1 on the season, which is a 63.14% win rate on the year. I always like to compare that with the number one spot on ESPN Pigskin Pick'em. There's a guy there, ESPN fan 970, who's 3 games ahead of everyone else, almost a 73% win rate on the year, which is really, really impressive stuff. But let's get started here with the Panthers at 8-7, at the Buccaneers 7-9, the first game on Saturday. I'm going to take the Panthers here plus 2.5. I think this is going to be a great game. Obviously, winner of this game wins the NFC South. The Buccaneers are coming into this game on a 4-game losing streak. And you're looking at the Panthers, they beat this Buccaneers team 2 weeks ago, 23-20. I don't think that Baker Mayfield is all that healthy here coming into this game. He's been getting a little bit beat up, doesn't have great protection right now. The Buccaneers aren't really establishing all that much of a running game. And I think this Panthers defense right now, I think they're more formidable than this Buccaneers defense. I think the Panthers are also playing a little bit cleaner football. I do look at both teams, though. I don't love either defense. J.C. Horn of the Panthers, a big name player, just not playing well for them. Obviously, the Panthers were 1 for 11 on third down conversions last week against a really good Seattle defense. Bryce Young had 54 passing yards in that game, so the Panthers do have their issues. But I think Todd Bowles and this, a Buccaneers team, I think they're done. Give me the Panthers to win this game, to make it into the playoffs here. My confidence level, though, is a 6 out of 10. Give me the Panthers to win this game 24-21. Then we have the Seahawks at 13-3, at the 49ers 12-4. Give me the 49ers to win this game 28-20 here. My confidence level being a 7 out of 10. Second consecutive home game for the 49ers, second consecutive away game for the Seahawks. The 49ers, they won the first matchup in week 1, 17-13, where Darnold had a bad game there. Darnold, I think he's also regressed the past few weeks. He just has not looked as good as he did starting the season or midway through the season. The past few weeks, he hasn't been able to get a passer rating above an 85. But the Seahawks are 3-0, in the last 3 games, so you have to give them credit for being a good team despite, maybe not the best quarterback play. But I think Purdy for the 49ers is playing some really good football right now, maybe the best football that I've seen him play. I do worry a little bit about McCaffrey's workload. He's got 27 touches in the last game, so he's really taken a beating. I also worry about this defense of the 49ers. They just haven't been able to stop a lot of quarterbacks. This pass rush doesn't really get to anybody either. So, I don't have a lot of confidence in this pick, but give me the 49ers to win it. Then we have the Ravens at 8-8 and the Steelers 9-7. This is a game that I went back and forth on. I know the Steelers, they've been great as the underdog this season, and I think they're going to be the underdog here in this spot. But I'm looking at the Steelers, they only scored 6 points last week against the Browns, and that was a game that if they won that game, they would have won the division. So they're obviously trying to win that game. I just think the Steelers are missing a lot of guys. Obviously, DK Metcalf, I think he makes the Steelers a lot less explosive. It looks like no Darnell Washington, potentially, probably no TJ Watt as well. So this is a different Steelers team, in my opinion. I haven't loved what I've seen from the Ravens, but I think they do just enough to win this game. I do think Lamar Jackson plays here in the last game of the season. It's a big game, obviously. Derrick Henry, I think, is going to be a big part of this game, a big factor, a big part of this equation for the Ravens in winning this game. But give me the Ravens to win that one 26-19. Then we have the Lions at 8-8, at the Bears 11-4. The Lions are eliminated from playoff contention. The Bears still going for the number 1 seed in the NFC. They need a win, and for the Seahawks to lose to the 49ers. The Lions, they did beat the Bears week 2, 52-21. But since then, I think the Bears' defense has improved. I think Caleb Williams has improved. The Bears, they didn't really have any takeaways in that game against the Lions. Now they lead the league in takeaways. Lions, losing streak that they're on right now, which is definitely not good. That's the reason they're not in the playoffs. It's the second consecutive game for the Lions on the road to end the season. I just think this team is not going to be very motivated. My confidence level is a 7 out of 10. Give me the Bears to win this one, 29-24. Then we have the Packers at 9-6-1 at the Vikings 8-8. The Vikings are quietly on a 4-game winning streak. The defense has been playing really good football with guys like Van Ginkel creating problems for that defense. I think it's a well-coached team with Kevin O'Connell. The only problem is the quarterback. Obviously, no J.J. McCarthy, so it looks like Brosmer is going to be starting, but he was sacked 7 times last week versus the Lions. So I think they're going to be running the ball quite a bit in this game. The Packers did already clinch a playoff spot, so we'll see if they're going to be playing starters in this game. But this defense, of the Packers, it's really gotten a lot worse since Parsons got injured. It's the second consecutive home game for the Vikings. The Packers are likely resting starters, like I said. Give me the Vikings to win this one, 20-16. Then we have the Chargers at 11-4, the Broncos 13-3. The Broncos, I think they likely play their starters because they're trying to get that number 1 seed in the AFC still. I think the Chargers, though, they do sit starters. It was already announced Herbert is going to be sitting out for this game. The Chargers are obviously a very beat-up team, so I think that that's a smart decision. Herbert was hit 8 times last week, sacked 5 times, I believe, in that game. But the Chargers, they're 5-0 in this division. It would be interesting if they could get to 6-0 here, if they could beat the Broncos here. But I think the Broncos, it's an important game for them still, so I think they'd beat them at home. Give me the Broncos 24-18. And I see them splitting this series this season. Then we have the Browns at 3-12 with the Bengals 5-10. The Browns are coming off a big upset win over the Steelers, 13-6. The Bengals, they're coming off of 2 consecutive wins over the Dolphins and the Cardinals. But the Bengals, they've just been an explosive team since Joe Burrow's come back, 41 points per game in the last 2 games. The Browns, they played a Steelers team last week that was missing DK Metcalf. So I think this Bengals team is a lot more explosive than that. I think Shador has been serviceable, especially behind this offensive line that's really not good for the Browns. And he really does not have a lot of weapons, especially with his running back going down. My confidence level is a 7 out of 10. Give me the Bengals to win this one, 30-22. Then we have the Chiefs at 6-10 at the Raiders 2-13. The Raiders are likely starting Kenny Pickett in this game. I think Geno Smith is probably going to be out with a high ankle sprain. I think that's an upgrade though at the quarterback position. I think though the last 2 weeks without Mahomes for the Chiefs, I think it's probably been the worst team in the NFL. I think this Chiefs team does kind of want to lose. I think they are kind of tanking. Losing can only help their draft position, their draft capital moving forward. Olajuwon, the third-string quarterback that the Chiefs have in, he has 120 yards passing in the first 2 starts, so nothing impressive. My confidence level is a 6 out of 10. I'm going to take the Raiders here to win this game 13-7. I know the Raiders, they're in prime spot right now to have the number 1 overall spot in the NFL draft. But I think the Chiefs win this or lose this game. Give me the Raiders here to win this one. Then we have the Saints at 5-10 at the Falcons 6-9. Second consecutive home game for the Falcons on a short week. Cousins, he's been slinging it. Kyle Pitts, Bijan, they're all playing well. They obviously beat that Rams team last week in a nice upset. I think this Falcons defense has not been great, but I think their secondary is probably their biggest issue. But I do think they can get after the quarterback. I think they can put pressure on the quarterback. Drake London back for this team as well. I think that's a big boost. But you're looking at the Saints. They're on a 4-game winning streak. Shuck, he's been productive with Chris Olave, Juwan Jennings. But that Saints, team is pretty banged up. I think the Saints D-line, it can be good against the run at times, but I think it's kind of a unit that's a little bit banged up as well. My confidence level for this game is a 5 out of 10. I really don't know who's going to win this game, but give me the Falcons. I think they're kind of riding high right now, 25-18. Then we have the Cowboys at 7-8-1 at the Giants 3-13. Give me the Cowboys here. I think the Cowboys are going to get a little bit of pressure on Jackson Dart. This Giants offensive line, I think, is one of the worst in the league, especially now with all of the injuries. And Dart, he's been flashy. He's dangerous on the ground, but I think he can be a little bit inconsistent otherwise. And I'm looking at this secondary for the Giants. I don't think they can really cover anybody. I think that's a problem heading into this game against the Cowboys. Give me the Cowboys to win this game 24-14, my confidence level being a 6 out of 10. Then we have the Titans at 3-13 at the Jaguars 12-4. It's an important game for the Jaguars to ensure the AFC South title and the potential number 1 seed. But I think the Titans, they've been heating up a little bit at the end of the season here. Cam Ward, he's had some special moments. But besides Tony Pollard, I don't think he has a lot of help. Lawrence, though, I think he's playing his heart out. I think he's running the ball more. I kind of like what Liam Cohen and the Jaguars are scheming up for him a lot of these games here. I think the Jaguars win this game 26-16. My confidence level being a 7 out of 10. Like I said, the Jags do need to win this game. But look out, because I think, like I said, Cam Ward, I think he looked pretty decent against that Saints defense last week. Then we go to the Colts at 8-8, at the Texans 11-5. Doesn't look like it's going to be Rivers. Looks like we're going to get Riley Leonard. But this Texans defense is the best in the NFL. They're still trying to win, potentially winning the AFC South if the Jaguars end up losing. I think obviously the Texans defense, they can really get after the quarterback, so I think that's going to be a problem for Riley Leonard. I think the Texans win this game 27-10. Then my confidence level being a 9 out of 10. Then we have the Jets at 3-13 at the Bills 11-5. The Bills, they're still in contention for the number 1 seed as well. But Josh Allen, to me, is a little bit banged up. He's dealing with a foot injury. I think a lot of people are low on the Bills, but I also think that they've played some good teams the last 6 weeks. I will say, though, I think the Bills do struggle against the run, and the Jets have a great running back here in Breece Hall, who I think is a nice threat in this matchup. I don't think they asked Allen to do too much in this game headed into the playoffs, if he even plays at all. But I'm assuming they do, just because this game, they still need this game. But I see a world where the Jets are competitive here. Give me the Bills, though, 25-14. My confidence in 8 out of 10. Then we have the Cardinals at 3-13, at the Rams 11-5. I think the Cardinals are one of the more banged up teams, the more injured teams in the NFL here. I think they're just looking forward to their season ending. And I think the Rams, they really do need a bounce back here after that performance against Atlanta, especially heading into the playoffs. Also, the Rams, if they win this game, they end up facing, I believe, Tampa Bay or Carolina. So I really like that bet for the Rams. I think the Rams cover as well, whatever the number is, 7.5. I think they cover that number. So give me the Rams there. I don't think the Cardinals can really protect the quarterback, and the Rams really can get after the quarterback. So give me the Rams to win by a good margin there. So those are my picks this week, and I'll be back come playoff time. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.